Check out this bread. It's an example of bread you might see using the new Ultragrain whole wheat. Well, is it healthy? That's what we're going to talk about today. Hi everyone, welcome to Ask Wardee, the weekly show where I answer your questions about traditional cooking. I'm thrilled you're here. You can find all the notes for everything we're discussing today's question at askwardee.tv. Look for episode 112. If you're live on Facebook, hi there. Danielle is in the comments pasting the links as we go. And hi if you're on Periscope. No matter when you're listening though, everything is ready for you. All the links, the transcript, the points I make at askwardee.tv, so be sure to check that out. There is a new whole wheat on the block. It's called Ultragrain white whole wheat. Have you heard of it? Well, I actually hadn't until Sarah asked the other day if I had. She's asking if it's the same as the hard white wheat that she loves to use in her homemade sourdough bread. Well, I looked it up and oh my goodness, I shouldn't have been shocked, but I was, because the new Ultragrain white whole wheat is used in all kinds of refined baked goods, and these refined baked goods have labels on them like healthy whole grains or whole grain or whole wheat, which makes people think they're doing something good for themselves, but they're really not, because they're no better than refined foods. I do want to go deeper into answering Sarah's question, so let's get into that right now, because she's also asking, could there be something better? So here's Sarah's question. Hi Wardee, I'm hoping you can help me. I have been following the Weston A. Price diet for a few years now and am just getting into baking sourdough bread. I have purchased hard white whole wheat flour and I'm wondering if it is healthy. I found an article from the Weston A. Price Foundation about Ultragrain white whole wheat, and there's a link for you with this video for you guys to check out that article. Sarah goes on to say, but I'm having trouble finding if there are any problems with baking with hard white whole wheat flour. Do you see the confusion there? She's got hard white whole wheat flour, and then there's a new grain called Ultragrain white whole wheat. She says, I really like the texture it gives my sourdough, referring to her hard white whole wheat, and I'm hoping it's on the okay list. Thank you so much. Blessings, Sarah. All right, Sarah, to answer your question, we got to get to the bottom of what is your hard white whole wheat and what is the Ultragrain white whole wheat. So you're using hard white whole wheat flour. It does come from a wheat berry, just like any of the grains, and it's been around a long time. There's white whole wheat, there's red whole wheat, and these are old varieties of wheat that have been around for a while. The hard red is most commonly used and called if you ever see reference to just whole wheat, it's most likely hard red. Hard white is virtually the same with a few differences. I'm going to quote from the article at the Weston A. Price Foundation to tell you the differences. Hard white wheat has been around for a long time and ironically was one of those hard to find grains until fairly recently. White wheat carries the recessive gene for pigmentation, and in its natural state, it's the same nutritionally as hard red wheat, except for the lack of the color in the bran. Because it lacks the red pigment, it also doesn't have the phenols, which impart a slightly bitter taste. And so the slight natural sweetness of wheat is more apparent. Sarah, your hard white wheat is the same as hard red nutritionally. That's the whole wheat classification, the only difference really being the lighter color and the non-bitter, more sweet taste. Okay, so that's what the hard white wheat is. The new grain on the block, the Ultragrain white whole wheat, let's find out what that is. So again, I'm going to quote from the article at the Weston A. Price Foundation. ConAgra, that's one of those big ag companies, which spent almost 10 years on the hybridization of the new white wheat as well as its milling process, has produced in Ultragrain an even sweeter wheat with a thinner bran. The patented milling process pulverizes the grain to such a degree that the particles are practically microscopic, and the flour can be used in all commercial food processing applications that currently use refined flours. Sounds a little bit scary and a little bit intriguing, doesn't it? All the hullabaloo has to do with what the food industry must consider a win-win situation. The new non-GMO, I guess that's a good thing, wheat hybrid and the new patented milling process by ConAgra create a whole wheat flour with just about none of the qualities we associate with whole wheat. So customers used to the taste of refined flour products may virtuously purchase the new whole wheat versions and expect no unpleasant surprises. Here's my summary of that. The new Ultragrain white whole wheat, it's just a handful of years old, is sweeter. It's less heavy through the hybridization that Conagra went through, and it's more refined through their patented milling process that actually pulverizes the grain. This hybridization and the milling process gives them a flour that is interchangeable with refined flours, because really it's refined itself through the milling and through the hybridization, and therefore it really doesn't have any of the healthy qualities that we would consider whole wheat to have, whether taste or nutrition. So now that they have this Ultragrain white whole wheat in the market, you have a whole host, a flood of whole wheat products on the shelves. Again, they have the labels: healthy whole grains, heart healthy whole grains, whole wheat. Even though people see these labels and think they're getting something good, they're actually getting very refined flour. The Ultragrain is a refined flour. It's really unhealthy. It's refined as ever, especially when you consider that these products not only have the Ultragrain white wheat, but they also have all the things that we want to avoid in processed foods. So preservatives, possibly trans fats, sugar, and other refined processed foods, maybe genetically modified foods. Sarah, my bottom line here is that the hard white wheat that you're using in your homemade sourdough is so much better than Ultragrain, and it is not the same thing. You did ask about what's the healthiest, so I have to take this a little bit further. Even hard white or hard red wheat are a far cry from the most ancient varieties of wheat that were grown as long as 5,000 years ago. Einkorn is the oldest of those. It's civilization's first wheat. It was grown 5,000 years ago in the Fertile Crescent. It's healthy and tasty. It's the only variety of wheat that our family bakes with and has been for a few years. We find it easier to digest, and for me personally, it doesn't trigger a recurrence of seasonal allergies where modern wheat does. Just a little bit about einkorn is it has a gentler form of gluten. It has gentler starch, and so all of this makes it more nutritious and digestible. And when you combine those qualities with sourdough, which we know sourdough is the best way to prepare grains for best digestion, you really have a total win-win. Not the win-win that Conagra has, but the win-win that we have in our Gnauflin's kitchens. I'm not saying you need to switch to einkorn from your hard white wheat you love. I'm just pointing it out because you asked if your hard white wheat was healthy. There is a healthier choice in the ancient varieties, but a lot of people who don't have severe health issues do just fine with wheat, so this is really a choice you want to weigh for yourself, and I'm totally behind, and I totally support the decision that you make. So that was pretty short and sweet, I think. A simple question to contrast Sarah's hard white wheat with the Ultragrain, and the hard white wheat wins by miles over Ultragrain. I think we should avoid Ultragrain just like we do all the other processed foods. If anyone is interested in einkorn, I do have a resource for you. It's an awesome recipe for a no-knead sourdough einkorn bread. This is the bread that we make. I'm seeing in the comments, I love einkorn. Me too. Yay. So you can get my recipe, I just showed you that picture, at tradcookschool.com/no-knead. No knead is all one word, or look for the link with this episode. I do, if you're brand new to einkorn, I do recommend you start with a tried and true recipe like mine. Because einkorn's a bit tricky to figure out. It has some peculiarities, so if you go through a recipe that's tried and true, working around those, you're going to ensure better success. Again, the recipe's free, and you can follow a link with this episode. If you're watching the video, it's with this video, or just go to askwardee.tv, episode 112, and you'll get the link there. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining me. I am thrilled to answer this question for Sarah, and if any of you have been wondering, well, now you know. They spent 10 years to dumb down wheat. They certainly did, and now they've got this awesome, or so they say, product on the market, which I think we should all just avoid. If you've got a question for a future episode of Ask Wardee, just follow the information with this episode's notes at askwardee.tv, put it in the queue, and I'll be happy to answer it. Thanks for joining me, everyone. God bless you. Bye-bye.